Do you look at what you do as a thing you do, a job, right? A career, something you do every day? Or do you look at this as who you are? Hi, it's Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to the Magellan Network Show. My goal inside of this communication, this show, is to share with you my nearly 30 years of coaching some of the most successful financial advisors in North America. We're going to be talking about strategies, syntaxes. We're going to be bringing guests on from time to time, and I'm going to share with you what's working now. So think of this show as sort of like a little one-on-one kind of mini coaching cast, if you like, where we're going to be going in depth from time to time on strategies to help you grow your business, get more effective, become more efficient, find balance in your time management, grow your business, and quite frankly, whatever else is going on in the world today. So before we get to today's episode, I'd love for you to do a couple things for me. Number one, make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're doing the audio, make sure that you give us a review on whether it's Spotify or Apple. We'd really appreciate that. And quite frankly, that does help. It does matter when you rate things and like things and subscribe to things. It helps us get the word out to more of the industry. And lastly, I have a very special gift for you. Go to MagellanNetwork.net, so one word, MagellanNetwork.net, and I have for you a complimentary membership, 100% gratis, where you can tap into about between 50 and 75 hours of masterclasses, forms, tools, templates, and strategies. So please go ahead and make sure you go ahead and get that claimed. Smash the like button and subscribe. And please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever podcasting platform you're on. And now, let's get to this week's episode. Hi, it's your Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Today, what I want to talk about is just an observation I've had for many years, many decades as a matter of fact, which is a lot of advisors, even some of these young advisors, treat this game as a job. And so what I want to talk about, and I'm going to address, if you're not succeeding at the level that you want to, right, in this game, let's talk about why that is. And let's talk about the truth of why that is, not some markets or economy or compliance, but let's really kind of break it down. So there's, to me, a big differential when you step in, and again, I don't care if you're in this game for 2 weeks or 20 years, is how you approach what it is that you do. Right? So I'll ask the question, do you look at what you do as a thing you do, a job, right? A career, something you do every day? Or do you look at this as who you are? Right? Because if I say, hey, what do you do for a living? I work as a advisor. Well, that's one psychology. And I know exactly what that means. That means you get up in the morning, figuring out, what's the latest I can get to the office, what's the least amount I can do. And when can I get out of there, and when can I get my vacation? And it's a part of your world, but it's not who you are. And the beauty of this game is you'll still make some pretty good money doing that. But you'll never be great. You'll never be the best. Why? Because to be the best, you have to go all in. That means you have to identify and have the identity. This is who I am, not what I do. So what does that mean, like from an operational perspective? For the clients I work with, multi-million dollar producers, 20, 30, $40 million producers, or producer groups in some cases, they are all in on this game. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean they're workaholics? No. It means that they're very clear on their identity. They have powerful morning rituals. They play the game, and they play it for as long as they need to win, right? And does that mean that they don't take vacations? No, they take a lot of vacations. They have a lot of freedom and flexibility, but when they're in, they're 150% committed to being the best. So I'm going to ask this question inside this conversation this way. What's it going to take for you to be your best? And I'll hear this all the time and I kind of alluded to it last week. If you haven't watched last week's video or our episode, you really want to watch or listen to it. I think a lot of advisors who are looking to scale and to grow and to be more successful are caught in the paradox of the wrong question, which is basically, what do I need to do to X? And it's not about what you need to do. You know what you need to do. You just don't do it, right? And that's the real truth. Like there's no magic here, right? If somebody says, I'm a younger advisor, I want to grow my business, I say, great. Let's talk about the 15 different ways you can do that, right? You can cold walk, you can cold call, you can network, you can do seminars, you can ask for referrals, you can do COIs, you can join like Pro Advisors or BNI or something like that. You can buy business like with Smart Asset and Agura and some of these other stuff. You can go to White Glove and do online seminars. There's 10 right there. I'm sure I can come up with another 5 if you give me a minute. Okay? They're there. Not a question of how to do it. But how many of you sit there and say, well, I can't afford that? Or, I don't want to take that risk, right? And that's fine. I'm not saying you have to do anything paid. But then you're going to have to be willing to get uncomfortable every day and remind your clients that you're here as a resource, right? Remind them that you're here to promote. And don't give me well, Joe, real professionals don't promote referrals. Bull. That certain consultants will tell you that because that's what you want to hear. Here's what I know for a fact. If you want to grow your business via referral and introduction, all you have to do is just remind your clients you're here as a resource for friends, family, colleagues, and coworkers. If you want to go a little bit deeper, hey, who do you know is retiring in the next 12 to 24 months? You want to go a little bit deeper. Hey, do you know anybody who's going to be selling their business in the next 3 to 6 years? Not rocket science, right? And I've got clients who will source 50 to 75 names a year doing that, right? Nothing fancy. No, we don't need to buy a program, right? Just like change and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Not that complicated. This is really a simple business that's not easy to do. One of my long-term clients told me that once, and it really still resonates today. This is a simple business that's not easy to do. But we tend to, because we're smart, want to make it overly complex. Period. Right? So I'm going to give you 3 questions. So next week, if you're watching this on Friday, next week we go into our annual Magellan Vision strategic planning process. The last one we're doing live. Everything else will be virtual starting next year. But there's 3 questions that you need to ask. And the fourth one, so there's 4. There's 3 that matter. The fourth one's easy. But the fourth one is what everybody asks first, which is, what do I need to do? It is the absolutely wrong question in the wrong sequence to really affect change. Question number 1. What is it that you truly want? And please don't say things like, I want to grow my business or I want to make more money. Those are nebulous. One of my mentors, Ed Milet, I'm in his coaching program, has said, and I totally buy into this, the more specific you can make the goal, the easier it is for the mind to reverse engineer what needs to be done. If a goal is vague or nebulous or ill-defined, your subconscious can't really help you because it doesn't know specifically what you're seeking. So whatever it is you want, be specific, right? I want to grow my business by 15 to 20% next year. That's specific. I want to bring in between $12 and $20 million of new advisory assets next year. That's specific. I want to bring in between 12 and 18 new clients next year. That's specific. Okay? That's what you need to think. Hi, Coach Joe Lukacs here, and I'm just breaking here for a moment just to do a couple quick reminders. Number 1, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast. In addition, please leave a comment or a review. Those things really, really matter. And share this episode with 3 of your colleagues inside the financial services space. And lastly, make sure that you go ahead and claim your free membership inside of Magellan Network. Now back to this week's episode. And like behaviorally, well, I need to get up earlier. That's not specific. I need to go to bed earlier. That's not specific. So number 1, what is it that you want? And what is it that you want specifically? Okay? Number 1. Number 2, why do you want it? And there has to be a compelling why. And everybody's why is going to be different, right? But you need it, right? If it's about, hey, I need money to live, or I want to get a new house, or I want my kids to go to private school, or I want my spouse to stop working, or I want to be able to have money to reinvest back in the business, or I want a new Mercedes, I don't care what it is. You have to assign something that's meaningful to you. Okay? And what's meaningful to you is not going to be meaningful to me and vice versa. So it's got to be a really personal thing. And so why do you want it / why is it a must? Right? I'm going to try to. No. What are you committed to? What's your why? That's critically important. Okay? Second question. So what does you want specifically, and why do you want it? The most important question is question number 3. Who do you need to become to pull it off? Being a successful, wildly successful advisor is about identity. It is not about doing things differently. It's about becoming someone different. And this is where people in general, but we're talking about advisors here, this is where they fall into that real trap. Because they never ask themselves that question, who do I need to become? And some of you are saying like, well, how do you even answer that question, Joe? Well, like for example, who do you need to become? Do you need to become more disciplined? Do you need to embrace being uncomfortable? Do you need to be healthier? Do you need more energy? Do you need to become a better leader? Do you need to show up in the game every day differently? Like, who do you need to become? Now, here's the funny part. And I'll challenge everyone here with this question. Are you the same person today that you were when you started the business? And I don't care if you've been in business 3 months. I don't care. Are you the same person today than where you were when you started the business? The answer is yes. So it's not a question, can you change now, is it? It's not a question, can you elevate? You have. But it's been done haphazardly, in your mind, made by accident, right? Or I never thought about it that way, and that's fine. I'm now making you think about it. I'm now making you aware that question number 3 is the most important question. Who do you need to become? So I get a client comes in front of me, let's say it's a $2 million advisor. So that person's already by every measurement successful. But they want more. So let's run through it, right? What is it you want? Well, I want to go to $5 million. Okay, great. So they're specific, right? Minimum $5 million. And we're going to be more specific and say, hey, we want to get done in the next 3 to 5 years. I'll buy it. Why do you want it? That's my conversation with them. Tell me why this is a must for you. Because unless it's a must, you're not going to walk through the fire. You're not going to want to elevate. You're not going to change. You're not going to go through the pain of things in order to make it happen. So why do you want it? The next question, who do you need to become? Right? And a lot of that is basically, identity, right? Like we just talked about. Fourth question, what has to happen? And look, the action is bifurcated, right? So here's what I mean. So, right, goal, why, who, how. How is bifurcated 2 ways. What is it you need to do more of? Or just start doing? What is it you have to stop doing? And what do you have to leave behind? And for a lot of advisors, that fourth question, they never think of it in a bifurcate, but it's really 2 questions. What do I need to do? I need to clone my higher net worth clients. I need to do more leadership. I need to be more strategic in my marketing, my business development, right? Things like that. Well, what do you have to give up? I've got to start working with smaller clients. I've got to build a team. I've got to get out of my inbox, right? Like what part of your game can't come with you to that next level? And there's always something. And this is what really stymies a lot of the, what I call $1 to $2 million advisors from being the $3, $4, $5, $10 million advisor, is they're trying to take their current universe and scale it, and they can't. Because the current universe, their current model is not scalable. That's change. That's uncomfortable. That requires thought. That requires commitment, right? So if you want to be the best and not just have a job, you got to be like a Tom Brady where you're 100% committed to this, right? I'm not saying you have to eat avocado ice cream or crazy stuff like that, but you got to be all in on what you're doing here. You got to be the best. And the best does not mean economically, right? It's about being the best advisor for your clients. Like, you deserve every dollar you get. You know, in a lot of cases, you feel like you're underpaid. And that's not being egotistical or arrogant. It's about raising standards, right? Raising standards. So I just want you to think about that a little bit. And as we're getting ready, we're weeks away from closing out 2024. And many of you are going to go into 2025 saying, oh, this is going to be my year this year, right? I'm going to go make things happen. But if you bring the same version of you into the new year, nothing will change. I will absolutely guarantee you that. So I need you to think about those 4.5 questions, right? What do I want? What do I want it? Who do I need to become? What do I have to do? What do I have to stop doing? Here it is in a 10-minute conversation. This is the way you elevate. That is the framework that I've developed over 30 years. And it works. So this is what I want you to think about, okay? Now, if you're okay being okay, then that's okay too. I'm not here to mandate anything, but here's what I want to just remind you of. At some point in everyone's life, there's what I call the rocking chair. This is how I term it. When you're going to look back at your life, look back in your career. And you're going to have two landscapes. Landscape number one is going to be the beautiful thing you created, all the success, all the impact you've had, all the capabilities you acquired, right? Stuff like that. Or porch number two, looking back at what could have been, what didn't happen, what I missed on, what I squandered. And you're going to operate in what could have been world, and you don't want that. So this is your choice you have. Again, I don't care if you're 5 years in the game, 5 months in the game, 30 years in the game. Here's what I know to be true. You have 100% of your career left. Now, I turned 60 this year, actually in less about a month. And I've been at this for 30 years. It'll be 31 years in February. 2026 will be 31 years. You know what I think? I am just starting as a coach after 30 years. That my best coaching, my most powerful coaching is in front of me, not behind me. So for some of you guys and gals who are like, man, like you think like, oh man, I'm on the other side of 50, it's like best days behind me. No, they don't have to be if you don't want them to be. I've got clients in their 70s that are growing at 15, that are rocking it in their early 70s. I'm sorry, I don't buy that. My best days are in front of me. My last day as a coach will be my best day as a coach. And I want that same thing for you, that your best day as an advisor is going to be your last day as an advisor. Okay? So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching this episode of Magellan Network Show. We are hosting, depending on when you're watching this, viewing this, we have our annual business planning, strategic planning event. If you go to fabizplan.com, come join us virtually for a couple days, and let me help you create your masterpiece. Thanks. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, if any of this resonated with you, I invite you to come to MagellanNetwork.net, and we have a powerful group coaching community of like-minded advisors. Come in for a trial. You and I will have a one-on-one conversation. Let's see if I can help elevate your game both personally and professionally.